You talk a lot about the ideologue.
Yeah.
And how people fall into the trap of kind of repeating the talking points that they are, trained to repeat. So how do you make somebody aware that they have fallen into that trap of being an ideologue, or how do you make someone aware that they themselves
Well, you do that. That's partly what education was supposed to do, I mean, hypothetically, you expose people to a variety of different viewpoints, and I mean a variety of different deep viewpoints, so that they actually learn how to think. Like in my personality class, for example, the one I taught at the University of Toronto, I go through a whole sequence of psychological schools of thought, and there are contradictions between the schools. And I put forth each school powerfully, say, look, this is the axiomatic structure, this is the way the thinking lays itself out in the world, here's why it's useful, here's what's good about it, and then move to the next one and do the same thing. And it isn't obvious that all of these different things can be true at the same time. Well, that's what you learn when you finally start to think. You also learn that problems are so complicated that the simple solution that you and 150,000 other people share, or you and 10 million other people share, is unlikely to actually solve the problem when you implement it. So education is education is supposed to be, at least in part, the alternative to low resolution indoctrination. And well, if you're dealing with people one-on-one, and you're dealing with someone who's particularly ideological, sometimes it's best not to engage if you can manage it. And I would say your other best bet is to lead by example. Have a life, and it makes you a credible person. And then maybe you're someone who can be taken seriously in the context of a discussion. This is part of the individual responsibility issue. Best to concern yourself with what you can do to straighten things up around you. And the people who are opaque to that, until they're willing to open their eyes to some degree, there isn't much you can do to force them open.
Yeah.
So you can hold out a hand, and you can say, look, we could talk. That's about as far as you can go, but you may find that the conversation goes nowhere, right?
Yeah.
And in which case, you should probably find something better to do.